I thought I'd show you guys some new additions to my workshop. Now, what we're looking at right now is one of my older benches. This is not the new addition to the workshop, but I figured I would start here. I got a lot of it cleared off. I've got my ultrasonic cleaner there. I'll probably move that over to the right-hand side to give myself more space. Still got to clean out the junk underneath there. But there's my cat moose as normal. There's my polisher and my grinding wheel and my sander and my drill press. And then we work way over this way. I got this cleared off a little bit better. This is my catch-all. I keep a lot of tools and stuff inside there, hand tools and things. Big screen TV, I put the big prints on. Junk over here. This is stuff that you guys have seen in the past. So this is the bench. This one now is dedicated just to working on the chassis. And I got my 54C in there right now. I showed you guys that once before. Some rags. And I've got this old dresser here. It's actually an antique. The drawer's open on the bottom a little bit, but it used to have that 1929 Victor sitting on it, and now it's off. It's a good place for me to hang some of my granddaughter's artwork. Keep my capacitors and resistors, some of that in there. I cleaned out under my steps, and I put some shelving and stuff in there. And I was going to turn my light on, which is right here, but I think it died. I had it on and it went out, so it might have died. I got to check into that now and see why. But yeah, I got some storage in there for some of the old radio stuff. But this is really what I want to show you. This is my new addition. I'll disregard my outlines on the floor. It looks like bodies were there. I had some leak coming up out of the floor with all this rain we've had recently. And I made a caulking parameter, and then I poured this really thick material in here. It's about 1/4 of an inch thick here. And so far, so good. I haven't had any leaks in here since I've done it, but I don't want to pull the caulking up just quite yet. Anyway, this is the area that used to belong to the cats, and I reclaimed it. So there's my fuse panel. Got a new shelf in here. Now I got the 29 Victor sitting there waiting to be done. That's not Moose, that's Toby. And I got my 1933 6DL there. It's restored. It's ready to go back in the cabinet once I get the cabinet done. And then I got this one here that I had restored from my nephew. It's ready to go. This is I believe, Air King, other than the cabinet on that one. This is a 1941 Farnsworth that I'm getting ready to work on for a friend. These are some of my old meters that are waiting to be restored. And then a couple up here on top. Anyway, this is actually covering a speaker. It's good to keep the caps off the speaker from poking a hole. Then, new addition. Lights. Nice lights. New workbench. This is going to be what I consider my tube testing bench. I'm going to have my precision tube tester sitting here all the time. I've got bins that I've put existing tubes that I've got in. Down below I've got tubes in that Craftsman. And then we turn here, I got another new shelf. And I have my Variac down there. That's where it's going to stay. And a few things on that shelf. And then this bench. This other new bench. This bench is going to be dedicated to winding transformers. And so now I've kind of got workstations. I've got a workstation for winding transformers. Got a workstation for checking out tubes and other things I might want to do, and checking out my cat moose. And then I got the bench in there for the chassis assembly. So I like it now. I've got more room to move around in here now, and not be all cramped in, and to do various things. So other than cats, it's, you know, you got to work around them. Next thing I want to show you while I'm running this video is this new addition, which is an ATX power supply I just put together last night. And I'll show you that in a minute, but I'm going to put the phone in the phone holder tripod thingy bopper. I actually got a cheapy one here that seems to work fairly good too for overhead shots, so that's what we're going to do. This is probably going to be where I do most of my videoing now. It's good lighting, and if I can keep my cat off while I'm filming, it might work out pretty good. So I'll be right back. So I saw the ATX power supply on YouTube. I saw quite a few videos on it actually. So I decided that was pretty cool, and I decided I wanted one. So I went on eBay and I found a used power supply, and we can get it up where you can see the amperages. The amperages are pretty good. 20 amps output on the 3.3. Get the shine off that. 14 amps on the 5 volt and 14 amps on the 12 volt positive. So it's actually got pretty good output on it. A couple things I'd seen that I wanted to do was, besides having your typical 12 volt, 5 volt, and 3.3 volt, like you see here, I wanted to have a variable 0 to 12 volts. So I bought a drop down buck converter for $5 and put in there. And so now I can do that. And I also bought a USB input in there, so I can actually charge my phone or run something else on USB while this is running. And then these are the 2 ports for the variable 0 to 12 volts. It's actually 1.2 to 12 volts. It's easier to put 0 to 12 volts. But anyway, it actually turned out really nice. I wasn't going to show you a build on this because there's already so many people showing builds on it. I was at my sister-in-law's house last night, and I just took all the pieces and parts and threw it together while I was there. So anyway, I figured I'd give you a little demonstration of this. If I can put it back where you guys can see it, I'll plug it in. And when it's plugged in, it's got the power switch here on the side. And as you can see, hopefully you can see, the lights are so bright down here. This blue LED is the standby light. You see it against my finger, it's lit. And so it currently has power, but nothing else on it would have power until I flip the switch on and the green LED comes on. So now we got the standby and the green LED. The frame rate on my phone is making the LED here look like it's flickering, but it's not. It's on solid and steady. If I pick this up and turn around, let you see, maybe you'll be able to see with it flashing like I don't know. Yeah, I've got it right now adjusted to 6.3, like a filament voltage would be. That's quite annoying, actually. And then if I take a little adjustment screwdriver, I can put it pretty much anywhere I want it to be. I keep it out of get my screwdriver in the slot, okay. There we go, it's in, okay. So, as you can see, maybe you can see, I can't tell. And we're up to 7, 8.3, 8.8. It goes up very nicely, okay, all the way up to 12. And I can take it all the way down to, you know, like I said, about 1.25 volts if I want. But so that's very nice. I wanted to have that variable output capability within the 12 volt range versus just having the individual ones. So that being said, I'll show you on my, I can make this so you guys can see it without a glare. I'll show you it's on 6.3 right now. Let's see how I can support that a little better so you don't have a glare. Let's see here. Fold this rag up and stick underneath there maybe. Yeah, that looks better. Alright, so put the meter on DC volts. Right now I've got the power supply on 6.3. So let's see what we get. 6.31, pretty accurate. Let's just see what happens as I crank the voltage here. 6.6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Hit the 12 for 1 second. There we go, right there. Okay, 12.1. So now we'll take it back down to the 6.3 that I had it at. But this would come in very handy for like something if you're running a project that needs like a D cell battery, C cell battery, 9-volt battery, any of those sorts of things. I can custom adjust the voltage. So that's that. So now let's turn it around here. And these two are my dedicated 12 volt. These two are my dedicated 5 volt. These two are my dedicated 3.3 volt. Any of the commons would work with any of the voltages, but we will see. Prop this thing up. Well, you guys can see which one it is. So I'm going to check the 12 volt. You guys can keep an eye on the meter. So this would be the dedicated 12 volt. And we're at 12.39. This would be the dedicated 5 volt. And we're at 5.14. And this would be the dedicated 3.3 volt. And we're at 3.39. It's pretty accurate. So, because I have the switch in here, the other switch can stay on. The fan doesn't come on, it's just in standby mode, as you can see by the blue light. With this switch off, nothing's hot, but it is in standby mode and it's ready to go. I mean, it's got voltage going into it right now, unless I flip the switch on the back off, which if I flip the switch on the back off, it'll take a minute or two for the voltage to die out. There it goes, and now the LED just went out. So again, if I turn it on, it's in standby mode. You don't hear a fan or anything until I flip it on with the switch, and everything's working. Again, that flicker is not on the actual device. It's because of the frame rate apparently on this phone. But yeah, so that's my new power supply. I thought I'd show it to you. I thought I was real happy. It came together really well last night. Let me show you the buck converter I used. I bought two because they're cheap enough. You guys probably saw me do a video not that long ago about putting a power supply in one of my meters, and it turned out well. One of them turned out not so well. The other, I think I did 2 meters. The first meter, that particular device worked really well. The second one, the potentiometer apparently was screwed up in it, but it just, I'm not happy with it. It's kind of where I wanted it to be right now, but I think I might take it apart and put one of these buck converters, I mean, for $5. And it also comes with an additional heat sink and standoffs. Heat sink to go over the transistor there. But it's got basically real simple, your input negative in, your input positive in. Right here it's just a cinch screw, and then your output positive and output negative. It's got 2 little switches that turn it on. This little button here turns on the LEDs. This little button here turns on the buck converter, so you can do drop voltage. If that one's not on, it'll just stay on the input voltage. But it actually worked out quite well. I mean, it's made to mount on standoffs. I didn't do mine that way. I had to cut a hole and make a spot for adjustment. I was going to do a separate potentiometer. I was like, you know, why bother? Don't have to sit there and twist it around. So that's it, guys. Keep this video short and sweet, but I did want to show you what I've been working on a couple of weeks ago, besides the power transformer, which I'm planning on putting in at some point this week. It's Memorial Day weekend, so I'm spending some time with the wife, but she's taking a little rest right now, so I figured I'd come down and make this video. But anyway, that's it, guys. Nice little ATX power supply. I paid, I think, no free shipping on the power supply. I paid $12 for the power supply. Between the cinch banana, the banana plugs, the cinch plugs. I had the switch already. The LEDs I purchased, and the buck converter, and the USB port. I probably have $25 in that, but it works great, and for $25, that's nice. I'm actually thinking about making a second one, possibly, and putting a boost converter in it so that I can go higher than the 12 volts. So, may or may not, but for now, I'm happy with this one. So, thank you guys for watching the video. Hopefully this did not come out in keyhole mode. And again, thank you for watching Gregg's Vintage Workshop, and stay tuned.